Alright, hi everybody, welcome back. If you're coming back from the first two videos about inflammation, the first video we gave a real good working definition. It's your body, it's your immune system working, it's a natural, intelligent, healing response to an injury. But one of the signs of inflammation, other than the uncomfortable, inconvenient ones, is that there's loss of function. So inflammation in the brain, in the heart, in the breast, could be cancer, could be Alzheimer's, could be heart disease. It's the contributor, or maybe even the cause, of a lot of chronic degenerative disease. In the second video, we talked about how this natural response, uncontrolled because of environment and lifestyle factors, the good thing becomes a bad thing. And a real good way to measure this in the body, because it is hidden, it's silent, are two tests specifically that we touched on. CRP, high sensitivity cardioreactive protein, and homocysteine, and we're going to dive into that a little bit deeper. There's a great company called Life Extension. We use their products. We use some heavy-duty licensed products, so the products are fantastic, but in this clinic we use some other things. However, for research and information, this company has been really a trailblazer for 30 years. So I would look them up, maybe even get a subscription to Life Extension magazine. Inflammation is the underlying cause of virtually all degenerative diseases, like we've said. In a general population study, individuals with the highest CRP, now the functional range is under 1. We really don't want any of this in the body. The highest CRP levels had an increased risk of cancer of any type, and a twofold increased risk specifically of lung cancer. Among individuals diagnosed with cancer, so again, you may not have cancer, I hope you don't, but you can see and understand how a person like that is already compromised. So, during this study period, individuals with a high baseline CRP, over 3 milligrams per liter, so they're recognizing that it should be under 1. This is important because I have a lot of patients with 2 and 3, and I see 6 and 7s, and I see higher than that. But when I show them the functional range of under 1 and they have a 2 or 3 or 4, they're looking at the 1 and they're thinking it's not much higher, but it's 200% higher, it's 300% higher. So in here they're saying baseline is 1. The patients with 3, they're considering high, had an 80% greater risk of early death compared to those with low CRP levels, and in parentheses, under 1, right? This corroborates numerous other studies showing greater cancer risk, incidence, and mortality with those with elevated CRP. All right? It even says when it gets to 1.5, that's when you really need to intervene. We like to say men, some of the other literature I've read is like 0.5, but as a general rule, underneath 1. Now you probably don't see this on the video. Right above the 1, I put LC, that stands for LabCorp, and then Q for Quest. These are two labs. You've probably go to one or both in the past of these labs. This is an important distinction and the purpose of this video. Short and sweet. When we use ranges in functional medicine, right, this is a very exciting emerging field of medicine, lifestyle medicine, nutritional medicine. One of the cool things is that we use ranges that are much more conservative compared to what's called a laboratory range. So for example, most of the time, and this really surprises people, kind of shocks people sometimes, to know that laboratories that you visit are not standardized. So in other words, you would think that every lab that you went into, the range for glucose, for example, if they're seeing your blood sugar, would be all the same, but it's not. It's basically just a bell curve average of the people who go to that lab. So it's not standardized at all. You can go into LabCorp and you can have a certain score and they can say you're fine. You go across the street, your score is not going to change, right? It's your body, but the lab range is different in that lab, and so all of a sudden you're out of range. It really doesn't make any sense at all. So in functional medicine, based on, I guess, studying healthy people, I could do a whole video on just on how we interpret our results. But it's a key distinction, because many times, you've probably experienced this, and it's not like you're hoping the doctor will tell you something, but you just suspect something is wrong. Hopefully a smart, compassionate doctor will say, let's do some blood tests. They'll get the blood tests and they'll say you're fine. They say you're fine. Why do they say you're fine? Because your value of your body fits into their range. The problem is their range is not a healthy population. It's the common or average population of all the people who go into the lab. But who goes get their blood tests? Healthy people? No, usually it's people in hospitals, people in emergency rooms, people on what used to be the highest selling drug, and it's still up there, the statins, to lower cholesterol. Those people are advised to go often to get their blood checked. It's not to see if the medication works. The medication works really well. It's to see if the liver is being compromised as a direct unwanted effect. So that's the population. Again, maybe it's congruent to this country where 6 or 7 out of every person is overweight and 3 or 4 in some populations are considered obese. In other words, why are we comparing you to the unhealthy population? So look at LabCorp. LabCorp says anything under basically 5, where the functional range is 1, and 2 and 3, where there's an 80% greater risk of mortality. But, you know, a really good cardiologist or endocrinologist, if they ever did CRP, they would say you're within the laboratory range. So, bottom line, we want that under 1. Homocysteine is another one that the functional range is between 5 and 7. Again, this is real small. You probably can't see that. See, between 5 and 7, LabCorp says 0 to 15. Now, that's double of what the functional healthy range should be. So if you were double, if you were 14 on the LabCorp script, your doctor would say you're fine, you're within the range. This is a great book by Dr. Rogers. She's an MD, called The Cholesterol Hoax. Now that's a controversial title, and all she's saying here is, listen, cholesterol sticking to the arteries that serve the heart, you know, the heart has its own set of circulation called the coronary arteries. Well, that could be problematic if this thing called cholesterol, which is necessary for life, it's an important molecule for the body. Your body makes cholesterol naturally in the liver. You could also get it from foods that you eat, right? Animal products. And usually, like inflammation, it serves a purpose. You need cholesterol. But out of control, it could block the smallest arteries of the heart. But she's just saying cholesterol is not the problem. Cholesterol is the result of the problem. The problem, this whole book is written on this topic called inflammation. When those arteries become inflamed or oxidized, something that should be nice and smooth like a Teflon garden hose, that's a good analogy, suddenly becomes rough, and then this thing that your body needs called cholesterol gets stuck, and that's the problem. But the whole point of the book is to say that inflammation is really the problem. Why are you chasing the symptom of the problem when you should be learning to lower inflammation? But in the book, she talks about 2 tests that are absolutely necessary to determine if a person has this. Again, because sometimes it could be hidden or silent. Guess what those tests are? Homocysteine and CRP. Homocysteine is a crystal ball test. What does that mean, guys? That means it predicts the future. The scary part is when homocysteine is above 12. So again, she recognizes the foundational or functional levels. So she's saying when it's double, or almost double, well, when it's double, 5 to 7, 12 would be double, right? Coronary plaque is proven by electron beam tomography calcium score, and she gives the reference here, to increase by more than 1/3 or 35% every year. That means within 3 years, people may have a grand slam heart attack. That's her, not me. And for CRP levels a little lower, over 8, so I want you to get this. Remember, she recognizes it should be under 1. So 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 is too high, just like I showed you from Life Extension. But she's just showing from this study, which is from Johns Hopkins, right? It's only one of the best medical schools in the world. When it's 8 times what it should be, a little lower than the 12, which is high homocysteine, coronary plaque progresses at 22% a year. So it's a 3 to 5 year window for people who have heart attacks. Neither cholesterol, this is actually from the study, not her. This is a quote from the study. Neither cholesterol values, because people obsess and focus on that and they don't look at the inflammation values. Especially, frankly, people on the statins. Those cholesterol values are being artificially suppressed. Or not artificially, like maybe they really need it, but it's being suppressed. But the inflammation is still there. Neither cholesterol, body mass index, right? How fat a person is, gender, individual risk factors. Nothing predicted the progression of coronary calcium like these two markers, like looking at the inflammation. Conclusion, the presence of elevated homocysteine, right, by itself independently predicted the progression of coronary calcium and plaque. Translation, cholesterol is merely a bit player in the scheme of things. In other words, it's the result of the problem, not the cause of the problem. So again, the message today overall is inflammation out of control is bad. There's a way to measure it, and the ranges that most people are looking at are the unhealthy ranges, so you have to understand that. First of all, you have to ask for the test because most doctors won't do it. It's a whole new video on why they won't do it. It's not that they don't understand these concepts, but it's usually not part of the standard of care. So in the last video, we're going to talk very simply about, I would never leave you with a problem and not give you the solution. So in the next video, just some simple lifestyle things. You know, lifestyle is how you eat, how you move, how you manage stress, a few other things. And there's ways to do that that can actually change your biochemistry without some more complicated things like detoxification protocols and things like that. Without that, just some simple foods and things you can do to, as the literature says, cool the raging fire in your body. That's how they refer to inflammation, to cool it down. We'll talk about that next. I hope this has helped. Bye-bye for now. Hey everyone, Dr. Jason again. If you're getting some value from these videos, especially if you're getting a lot of value, then please like this video, send it to people you care about, subscribe to our channel, and most importantly, if you have some comments, if there's things that you'd like to see me answer, some questions or some topics that you haven't seen before, it'd be my personal challenge to help you out. So please leave a comment below. Thank you, and bye-bye for now.